Good morning. My name is Russell Ferguson from RFM. I am trying to be in two places at the one time at present. I am currently running an event for Scottish Enterprise entitled Creating Buyers in Difficult Markets in Aberdeen. So unfortunately, much as I would like to be there today, a prior engagement has stopped me. By now, my colleague Eve McGregor will be sitting in front of you, and between us we form the core of the team that will be presenting or working on this project should we have the opportunity of carrying it out. When we think of our programmes and the kind of projects such as this, we talk about starting at the end. We start at the end, and really what we mean by that is that we actually try and think of the outcome that the client wants, and then we work back from that through the research to inform the kind of activities that we think are going to be relevant. So my job today initially is to give a little bit of flavour of the way that we think about marketing projects. Then I'll pass it on to Eve, who will talk about the different types of research, and then I will come back and talk really much more specifically about my experience and my view of what happens in food tourism sectors. Let me give you a little bit of an overview of the way that I would think about this particular project. It strikes me that there are a number of people in the food chain. We have the retailer or the server of the food, whose job is to sell product to their customers in front of them. If we can get them to sell more Scottish product, the more is the better, and that would achieve part of the objective. They probably buy their product from a wholesaler, one of the large wholesalers, and the wholesaler will be likely to sell them whatever is easy for the customer to buy. So we need to influence the retailer, and we also need to influence the wholesaler. Further back in the chain are the manufacturers, the food manufacturers, who have to make sure A, that they tell the retailer as one target market to stock their food and to look for it in the wholesalers, and they also need to look at the wholesalers to say, how do I supply regularly to you, and how do I get my product onto the shelf? So this is no easy project in terms of the complexity of the different target groups that require to be influenced. Without preempting the situation, I think I should be passing now to Eve, who will talk to you about some of the research techniques that we would employ to gain access to buyers and to provide the kind of robust information that I think you require on the project. So I will be back again in a few moments. Hello, it's me again, Russell Ferguson. By now Eve will have talked to you about some of the research techniques that she would use to gather some of the information that will inform our project and the next stages of the project. She may or she may not have told you that our experience in the food sector and in the tourism sector means that we actually have got quite solid and strong access to key buyers. As one example, I run a customer service programme and a revenue generation programme for Calmac Ferries, which involves the 20 odd routes that are covered on the Western Isles. Part of that is looking at customer service in the food and beverage side of their business, which of course links to having Scottish products on every single ship. So we therefore have access directly into the buying departments and could probably secure interviews very, very easily. In addition to that, we have other food service contacts in Portland Hotels groups, Buzzworks groups, sports grounds, etc., etc. So gathering the information we believe will be fairly straightforward, and that we will be coming at the project from a position of knowledge. My own background tends to cover information in both food and drink and also in tourism. I have very recently, 31st of March 2009, delivered a series of talks at a conference based in Fife, in St Andrews in Fife, which is Seizing Tourism Opportunities. Many of the attendees at that were companies who were involved in food production and also in the sales of food and drink through precisely the outlets that I think we are targeting on this particular programme. In addition to that, I do a lot of work with food companies based in Wales who are targeting a range of different markets, many of them being food service, and looking at what the issues are between retailers, wholesalers and manufacturers. My view of this is that when we come to look at the marketing and the kind of marketing initiatives that would be worth looking at, we have to think of the different elements of the food chain. We have the retailer. Their job is not just to produce the product, but their job is to influence the end consumer, talking about Scottish products and the Scottishness of the product. Their job is also to influence the wholesaler to make sure that the wholesaler stocks it, and probably even more important, that the salespeople within the wholesaler actually promote the product. We are at the beginning of an education process looking at these two areas. The end consumer is the person who walks up expecting a hamburger or a Scottish hamburger, a roll or a Scottish roll, a biscuit or a Scottish biscuit, and it's how we get them to ask for something Scottish and to get them to appreciate that something Scottish is different and iconic. Anecdotally, we do know of a situation where somebody in a Scottish visitor attraction had received a bottle of water from the Peak District in Derbyshire, and indeed the company got a customer complaint saying why had they come the whole way from Derbyshire to drink their own water when they should be drinking Scottish water. So I do think that there are going to be a range of initiatives required, and it will take time to influence both the manufacturer, to get them to understand the importance of the end consumer and the wholesaler, to influence the wholesaler, to get them to appreciate the importance of Scottish food and the margin opportunities or volume opportunities that may be available then, and also how we convince the end consumer to come in and ask for Scottish and think Scottish. So, my job as a chartered marketer, I spend all day, every day thinking about companies' markets, how they sell, and how we can begin to influence those markets. You can't do that on an academic level. We have to, in the business we're in, provide some very, very practical tips and techniques. So I would think that once Eve had produced the very robust research that she does under the guidance of the Market Research Society of Great Britain, that my job is to actually look and work with Eve to interpret the research and then to come out with some fairly solid ideas and initiatives that can be worked up further by your good selves and Scottish enterprise to create more the Scottish products in more mouths of the visitors. So again, my apologies for not being there. I would love to have been there because this is a topic that I find absolutely fascinating and something that I'm pretty passionate about. Thank you for your time. Sorry I'm on video from so far away, and I will let Eve finish off the programme for you.